Sarajevo's streets buzzed with market life on a warm June morning. Children chased each other around cobblestones. Merchants called out the day's prices loudly. Archduke Franz Ferdinand arrived with his wife, Sophie. Soldiers flanked the motorcade in polished uniforms. Civilians craned their necks to see the royal couple. The sun reflected off brass buttons and polished boots. Gavrilo Princip waited in a shadowed alley. He clutched a small pistol in his trembling hands. Fellow conspirators whispered encouragement from a distance. People cheered as the Archduke's car approached. Flags fluttered along the parade route. Sophie waved gracefully, smiling at the crowd. Ferdinand nodded, acknowledging the city's residents. Princip's pulse pounded in his ears. The car slowed unexpectedly near a corner. He stepped forward cautiously. The crowd thickened around the car. The smell of fresh bread and flowers filled the air. Soldiers shifted, noticing movement near the curb. Princip aimed the pistol carefully. The world seemed to hold its breath. A single gunshot rang out, sharp and echoing. Ferdinand slumped forward in his seat. Sophie screamed as panic erupted. People scattered in all directions. Soldiers rushed toward Princip. He was quickly subdued, face pale with adrenaline. Blood stained the Archduke's uniform. Chaos reigned on the cobblestone street. News of the assassination spread rapidly. Telegrams were sent to Vienna immediately. Austria-Hungary's leaders met in urgent council. Emperor Franz Joseph paced nervously. Military officers outlined potential responses. Ministers debated diplomacy versus retaliation. Serbia's government received the ultimatum. The text demanded immediate compliance or war. Serbian officials read it in disbelief. They attempted partial concessions to avoid conflict. Austria-Hungary deemed them insufficient. Mobilization orders were drafted. Soldiers packed gear into rail. Families waved goodbye at stations, unsure of the future. Russia began preliminary troop movements in support of Serbia. Germany convened to discuss its war plan. Europe's alliances braced silently for impact. Newspapers across the continent carried urgent headlines. Civilians speculated about inevitable war. The streets and capitals were unusually tense. London and Paris governments called emergency sessions. Germany demanded France remain neutral. Austria-Hungary declared war on Serbia. Russia fully mobilized its army. Germany issued an ultimatum to Russia. Fear and anticipation gripped every city. Trenches were mapped out months in advance. Factories began producing rifles and artillery. Civilians donated funds for the coming conflict. Soldiers boarded trains bound for front lines. Families left tearful farewells at station platforms. Propaganda posters appeared in cities and towns. Flags were raised over public buildings. Soldiers trained rigorously, drilling under the sun. New recruits wrote letters home, full of hope and fear. Diplomats raced across Europe with messages and warnings. Austria-Hungary issued public declarations justifying the attack. Serbia rejected full blame, escalating tensions. Germany prepared to invade Belgium as part of the Schlieffen Plan. Civilians in Belgium noticed unusual military activity. News of war reached remote villages slowly but surely. Volunteers joined local militias. Soldiers whispered about what horrors lay ahead. The first trains of mobilized troops departed Austria-Hungary. French soldiers were placed on alert near the border. British intelligence monitored every move carefully. Factories in Germany increased production of artillery shells. Citizens stocked up on essential supplies. Rail networks became chaotic with troop movements. Families feared that peace would never return. Russian peasants were conscripted into the army. Officers drilled recruits, day and night. The atmosphere in Europe became electric, tense, unavoidable. Politicians gave speeches stirring national pride. Newspapers debated the inevitability of global war. Soldiers on all fronts wrote letters to loved ones, uncertain if they would survive. Armies were mobilized with frightening speed. The first border clashes began quietly along Austria-Hungary and Serbia. Bombardments erupted unexpectedly in small towns. Refugees began fleeing border areas. Europe braced for what everyone feared, yet could not fully imagine. Flags waved atop embassies, yet unease lingered everywhere. Soldiers tightened boots, adjusted helmets, and checked weapons. Civilians whispered prayers in churches and synagogues. Young men said tearful goodbyes to parents and siblings. Horses were loaded onto transport trains for cavalry units. Armored trains and early tanks were prepared for deployment. Europe held its breath, teetering on the edge of catastrophe. July 28, 1914, Austria-Hungary officially declared war on Serbia. The spark had ignited a fire that would consume the world.